Every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they want to.
I want hand for corruption.
Hello viewers, and welcome to this week's edition of Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your uncle Hawa Garba. Corruption is the state of the mind. To reduce corruption to the barest minimum, therefore, there is the need for attitudinal change among the populace by observing and respecting our lost values of honesty, transparency, accountability, nationalism and patriotism in order to resuscitate and rejuvenate those values. The ICPC, in conjunction with the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the National Orientation Agency, initiated the National Ethics and Integrity Policy, which was adopted by the Federal Executive Council on 17th August 2020 and launched by President Muhammadu Buhari in September 2020. The main purpose of the policy is to reduce corruption by saving Nigerians from what is generally lamented as the erosion of ethics from national life and general collapse of an ethical culture. Welcome to Corruption Must Go, a production of the Public Enlightenment and Education Department of ICPC. The National Ethics and Integrity Policy is an instrument that seeks every Nigerian, even visitors to Nigeria, to key into the core values, words, and action, so as to make Nigeria a better place. These core values are human dignity, voice and participation, patriotism, personal responsibility, integrity, national unity, and professionalism. In today's edition, we shall examine each value and what it represents. The first is the human dignity. Human dignity derives from the conviction that human persons have inherent worth that must be respected and never violated. Rashidat Okodwa, MNI, former Director, Public Enlightenment, ICPC, explains further.
But I think before we get into the meaning of human dignity, we need to put a bit of context to our discussion. The National Ethics and Integrity Policy came into being out of a concern, very deep concern, about Nigeria's struggles and challenges with issues of corruption and lack of values, ethics, integrity in the things that we do, not just in official spheres, but even in private affairs. You find that Nigerians who used to have been known of old to have been people of integrity, that we heard of stories of people who left their wares on the roadside and nobody took or stole anything from what they left on the roadside. If they took anything, they put the money, the commensurate amount of money there, and nobody stole the money, nobody took anybody's goods without paying for it. Now, the same Nigeria has come to this level where you don't even trust your neighbor, you don't even trust your brother or your sister. So it's out of a deep concern for this kind of thing that even beyond official circles, we have a very big problem with the issue of ethics, lack of ethics in the society. So the National Ethics and Integrity Policy came about because of that concern, and ICPC spearheaded it. I don't know how many of our viewers know that our national constitution actually has a provision for national ethics. Section 23 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, Section 23 speaks to national ethics, where it says the national ethics shall be discipline, it shall be integrity, dignity of labor, patriotism, self-reliance, tolerance, social justice, and so on and so forth. So that gives the foundation for the national ethics policy. So now, human dignity in the policy. Human dignity as a value, as a core value of that policy, came out of the conviction that human persons have an inherent worth that must be respected and never violated. We are all creations of God. So before God, we are all the same. Nobody is superior to the other person before Almighty God. So that alone, that is what gives rise to what they call the usual, the rights, the human rights that people have. That shows that I have the right, of movement, the right of freedom of movement, freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of equality before the law, fair hearing. All those freedoms arise out of the fact that all human beings are the same. So in the policy, human dignity is to be translated, that is to be understood. That's what that translation means. If you want to understand what human dignity represents in the policy says human dignity should be translated and conserved, that is kept, sustained, through the values of justice. When you are just to your fellow human beings, you are affirming their dignity. You are saying they are the same as you. So justice, so we show human dignity through justice, through freedom, through importance of the individual. We believe that the individual is important. The values of equity. Equity is very important. In a country where we have so many diverse sub-nationalities, ethnic groups, you don't want one group feeling marginalized. So it is important that there's equity, there's fairness. These are the values through which you will interpret human dignity. Fairness, tolerance, sense of humanity, respect for persons, acceptance, and concern for other people. If I do not accept you as another human being with equal rights, how can we live together in peace? So this is what human dignity represents.
Thank you very much. In doing government business or any other business, the key articles of value of voice and participation shall include democratic principles, good governance, leading by the rules and by example, fair hearing. Okodua tells us the legal framework and the objective of the policy.
All right. Voice actually means what it says literally, the capacity you have to voice something out, to voice your opinion. So voice is the right you have to express an opinion, but it doesn't just stop at expressing the opinion. When we say voice in the context of the policy, it also means expressing your opinion and being able to influence a decision. For example, if we say we give everybody a voice in the political landscape, and then say some minority groups, express their opinion, we shouldn't just wave it away and say they don't matter. We should listen to them and be able to incorporate whatever ideas, even if it's not all, but they should have an impact on what we are going to do, because we have given them room to express their opinion, and that opinion should reflect in what we are going to do. So voice simply does not mean only being able to express yourself. It also means that you also have the right to influence a decision. That's voice. Now, participation is your right to take part in any activity, especially with regard to government business. We are all Nigerians, and by the constitution and by the right that God has given everybody as being born equally, before God, we should have the right to participate in everything that has to do with our country. When we're talking about the practical application of voice and participation, we should know that it means, like I've said about participation, we should give everybody, as much as possible. For example, we know it's not practicable for you to say everybody in this country would have voice. But they have their representatives. That's why we have representative government. So we should be able to allow their representatives to speak for them and their representatives to participate in things that they need to participate in. So active participation of citizens or their representatives in government business is a practical application, a practical demonstration of voice and participation. And then it says again in the policy that citizens should be voluntary whistleblowers to government on issues that come to their knowledge, issues of corruption, issues of unethical matters that come to their knowledge, things that can destroy the country, security issues, things that can actually affect the well-being of citizens. That citizens have the responsibility to come and to whistleblow to the government. Now, that is the part of the policy that I told you says everybody should take personal responsibility for national development. We all admire the developed countries. We all would say, many of us, including myself, would say with a lot of pleasure, personal pride, oh, my children are abroad. Oh, I have a citizenship of so and so country. We admire those countries because the countries appear to be running well, but they didn't arrive at that level of stability or running well just out of the blue. They worked for it. When I say they worked for it, the citizens are vigilant over the system. A neighbor will report his neighbor if he notices his neighbor is doing something that is wrong, that is against the law. We don't do it in this country. We shy away from it. I don't want them to give me names. How are we going to make this country better? If you notice your neighbor probably is an armed robber, or maybe he's living beyond his means, they made him a counselor, they made him something, or head of an agency, all of a sudden he's bringing all kinds of, we know these things, and then we don't blow the whistle. So we have a responsibility in as much as the government is supposed to assure us the space to have voice and participation that is for our own benefit. We also have the responsibility to use our voice to whistleblow to government.
Patriotism refers to love for one's country and willingness to defend it. How can we apply this value of patriotism? She explains further.
That is a value that one wished that every Nigerian had, because patriotism means love of your country and the willingness to defend your country. I've had a number of persons say that, what is there to love about Nigeria? Why should they be patriotic? After all, what has Nigeria done for them? But if we remember the famous F. Kennedy's quotation that says, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I think we need to have a reset of our minds, a reorientation of the way the lens through which we perceive government and our obligations to our country. And the objectives of this value in the national policy, some of the objectives include engendering love for the country and the protection of its good image. We run our country down too much. You're asking me how we can apply patriotism? Yes, we know there are challenges in our geopolitical space. We know that we have issues, but which country does not have its issues? But the other, like I say, the other countries that we admire, they still have their issues, but their countrymen, at least largely, many of them, rise beyond the challenges and still strive for the common good. That's the difference between Nigerians and the other, ourselves, because I'm a Nigerian as well. So if I'm accusing other people of showing lack of patriotism, not showing patriotism, not being patriotic, I'm also included, because this is something for all of us. Nobody's excluded. Now, it also means engendering, bringing respect for the interests and rights of others. You see, I said if you're patriotic, it means you will place the country before yourself. How do you show you are placing the country before yourself? When you think of other people before yourself. What we have been discussing about, the issues about human dignity, about how you operationalize voice and participation. The same way as patriotism. When you show interest in other people, then you are showing that you want your country to be stable, to be united, to progress. It means inclusion, promoting inclusion. It means national integration and peaceful coexistence. These are all the issues about patriotism. And It also means enhancing the citizens' rights and their duties to the nation. We owe this country duties. Let's not run away from that. The policy says that the practical application of patriotism would be when all public agencies are made to display the national flag and the coat of arms as a mandatory thing. You must have the flag, the coat of arms, and then that citizens should be law-abiding and respect other people's rights. Government on its own is meant to also strengthen citizens' sense of belonging. Remember when I was talking about voice and participation? It's a two-way street. Government has its role to play. Citizens also have their responsibilities under the national ethics and integrity policy.
You are watching Corruption Must Go. We are x-raying the 7 core values as developed in the National Ethics and Integrity Policy document of ICPC. Personal responsibility is the ability to take ownership, selflessness, commitment, loyalty, and being reliable. What are its benefits to one's country? Ahmed Abdul, Secretary Board Affairs, ICPC, who had participated actively in initiating the policy, throws more light.
Integrity to me, though it has many definitions, is doing the right thing at the right time and upholding to the standard, set down standard and principles that guide an organization or an ethics. Well, it's very important because it encourages honesty, it encourages transparency and accountability, thereby leading the younger one to emulate these virtues. Meanwhile, it's also imperative because it boosts the image of the country by having more investors to come to the country and invest. Then, if the country is considered as an integrity country, so other nations will be ready to come and invest in that country, thereby improving the economy of the country. Personal responsibility has to do with discipline, respect for others, upholding national values, self-patriotism, among others. It is of benefit to the country because it engenders unity, and also it brings about good relationship between the citizens of that country. More so, personal responsibility will help the citizen to uphold the virtues and values of their country by being patriotic and putting their country first before any other thing. By personal responsibility, it entails to issues of discipline, issues of respect, issues of upholding the national values, issues of team spirit, among others. Its benefit to the country, it helps to engender unity among the populace, because if all of us are gatekeepers, we are taking care of one another regardless of our religion and what have you, so it will help to unite us. Also, it helps to uphold the values and virtues of the country, that those values that make us together will be upheld by the citizens.
As a nation with about 250 ethnic groups, 2 major religions and more than 500 languages and dialects, Nigeria needs national unity to succeed in the war against corruption. As a core value, therefore, national unity means having the sense of oneness with equal rights and, by extension, collective efforts to get rid of corruption. We spoke with Mrs. Ese Okwam, Assistant Director, Education, who also played active role in the formation of the policy on this value.
To start with, I want to say that national unity, you can define it as having a sense of oneness. As a nation, we consist of so many tribes, so many ethnic groups and all that. But national unity speaks to the need for us to stand as one, despite our differences. That is national unity. And then how can that help us move forward as a nation? I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to tie it down to the fight against corruption. When we see ourselves as, oh, I am Igbo, he is Yoruba, and she is Hausa, we tend to, divide what should actually bring us together. We have a lot that tie us together as one rather than what divides us. Even in the fight against corruption, if you look at it, there are times that some persons some persons will be charged to court for one case or the other, especially cases that has to do with corruption. You will see people from his ethnic group, they will carry placards, they will go to the court and say, no, is he the only one that is corrupt? Leave our brother alone. That shouldn't be. We should have a united stand when it comes to the fight against corruption and say, no, as a nation, corruption should not be found amongst us. That is one way we can, if a public officer, for example, knows that, maybe a local government chairman knows that if I'm involved in corruption, everybody will stand against me, they will probably not indulge in it. But when they know that there are people that will back me, there are people that will say, leave him alone now, they tend to go further in engaging in corrupt practices.
And lastly, professionalism, which is the competence or skill expected of a professional. What are the norms and principles expected of a public officer in the conduct of their duty? Mrs. Okwong guide us through.
With regards to one of the core values of the national ethics and integrity policy, which is professionalism, some norms and values are expected from public servants. They include fairness, promise keeping, pursuit of excellence, accountability, decision making, integrity, honesty. These and others are values that are expected from public servants.
Okay.
Impartiality in performing official duties. It is wrong and it is corruption to be partial when you favor some persons as against others. You try to put others down because they are your kinsmen, because they are related to you one way or the other, because you like them in the office and you don't really like other people. That is corruption. Another aspect is something that has to do also with abuse of your office. It is wrong for a public servant to abuse your office to benefit yourself, for private gain.
As we observe safety measures, and support our health and frontline workers in fighting COVID-19, corruption, abuse of power, diversion, and misuse of public funds approved for mitigating the impact of coronavirus must be exposed. Be a coronavirus whistleblower. Report abuse in the management of COVID-19 fund and palliative to ICPC on toll-free number 0800 2255 4272 or AfricMail on 0811 877 1666. Email tips@corruptionanonymous.org. This message is from the African Center for Media and Information Literacy, AfricMail, in partnership with ICPC, supported.
Despite the multicultural composition of Nigeria, we all subscribe to these core values as they are collectively shared throughout the country. The National Ethics and Integrity Policy urges all Nigerians to live by these values to enhance the survival of the weak and check the excesses of the powerful. It will lead to a positive national transformation and a successful fight against corruption. In subsequent editions, we will bring to you the journey so far in implementing the National Ethics and Integrity Policy. That's our package for this week. Thanks for watching and see you again next week.